Hello, hackers. I'm Gaurav, one of the logistics co-lead, and here is our first workshop for you guys, intro to web development, and I'll ask Anarghya to take it over.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, this workshop is a part of MLH's local host series where they make workshops about different areas in computer science. So we will be going over the first website today. So uh, the main thing that we will go over today is like how would you start building your own website if you have zero or no experience in building websites. This would be like a perfect place for you to learn and gain new skills for making new websites. We will go over some HTML code today. We'll look at how to make your websites more pretty with CSS. So these are the basic two things we will cover today. So this will be a very basic introductory one just to like get your feet wet in the field of web development so that you can go ahead and start making websites that you might even demo by the end of day today or tomorrow. Okay, so let me go to the next slide. As I said, I'm Anarghya and I'll lead the session today. You can reach me at my website. There's links for my socials there, and I'm also available on Discord, and that's my Discord ID right there. Okay, so let's go. So as I said, this is powered by MLH. And what will you learn today? The structure and syntax of HTML and CSS, important elements of HTML, CSS, and properties, how to deploy your websites. That's what we are trying to do today. And why does why does this matter? Like every web page you'll see on the internet is based off HTML, CSS. Like it's from when the internet was launched. Since then, websites have been building this way, and you can find HTML, CSS in like many websites. That's the core. I know there's like new frameworks now, like React.js and whatnot, but the core, the basics of every website is still HTML and CSS. Okay. So in the end, we will also be able to deploy and share your personal websites and help you market yourself and connect with other developers. So table of contents, let's start with the introductions. So this is what you'll be building. I hope everyone has the slides. The link is in the announcements in Discord. So all the links that I'll be using today are in the presentation. So just make sure you have that slide with you and you'll be able to see all the links. So this is what we will be building today. This is like a final product. So this is like this would be a website for yourself. This could be your personal website where you have like a brief about yourself. It's like one line introduction, a picture of yourself, and all the relevant links to your social media sites. You can customize it and you can add your projects here. So this is what we aim to build today. So moving on, we will be working with Glitch. So Glitch is a platform where your code will be hosted for this workshop. So just follow along. You can follow along with this workshop by going to Glitch and doing it yourself. So if you just click on glitch.com, you should go to a page like this where you can you just have to sign in. I'm not sure if you can do it without signing in, but if not, just make a quick account there and you can click on this is the link that you need to go to. So I will do it right now. So once you go there, you can click on the view source, and on top there should be an option. Give it some time. So as you can see here, there should be an option called Remix Your Own. So you should click on that in order to make changes and edit to that, edit to the code. Okay, so I don't know why it's not working here, but I hope everyone can do that. If you have any problems, just put it on the chat in Twitch, and I will just look at it if there's any problems. Okay, so before I start diving into the code, is everyone ready and set up with glitch? Does anyone have any problems with glitch? Gaurav here can let me know if you have something on chat. Gaurav, do we have something on chat? Okay, cool. So let's move ahead. So the first thing you will see in glitch is you can preview what you change. So if I click on open in a new tab, you can see the same website, but the thing that you can do here is you can change your name. So if I change it to Anarghya and I save it, this automatically changes here. So that's why Glitch is a nice platform. You can make real-time changes. It will save your project and it will update your code real-time. Okay, so that's what we will be doing today. And so let's dive into the code now. So make sure you hit show, and then it will show it on the side, or it will show it you can either show it on next to the code or in the new window. It's up to you. So, okay, let me just 1 second.
Anarghya,
Yeah.
there is a question. The
Mhm.
top left part seems to be blacked out for some reason. Can you look over that?
Oh, yeah. I don't know why the top left is. Okay. Sorry for the delays. There's a technical problem, but I think this is the correct. Okay. I was looking at the finished version, but you should go into this link and start remixing, because this is the version that we will build, because I was looking at. So this is where you should start from. Can everybody see it now? I don't know why there's a, Gaurav, do you know why the black bar is there? Yeah. Let me try. Yeah. I restarted sharing. Did it fix it? Okay. Yeah. I don't know why that black bar is there, but if you can't see the portion of the code from there, you can look it up in your own computers. It's the same code that you have. Okay. Sorry for the black bar. I don't know why the black bar is there, but let's move on. Okay, so this is what you should start with. This is your preview. This is the website that we have right now. So let's make some changes first. In the tab with the code, replace your, where it says your name here, just type your name, and then in the next line, add your name there as well. Okay, and then you should see the changes. So if you could, if we edit my name and I save it, I should see it right here. Okay. So make this change and look at the live preview. It will update immediately after you're done with the change. So this is how the glitch works. And so we edited the website now, and it showed your name, which was pretty cool. And it changes very quickly. You can make modifications, and we'll be adding more stuff to it and making it more feature rich, like the one that you saw at the end. So let's move on and look at the files in the project. So we have some folders called assets, readme, index. So if you have no prior coding experience or you have not done any coding projects before, this workspace has a few files. So this is the main file, index.html, which will have most of our code of how, what are the things that will be on our web page. So that's what an index.html will have. And then we have some style.css. So the CSS file will have things which beautify your code. So CSS is like makeup or fluff that you put on your existing HTML. So the HTML file will have like a structure to your web page, and CSS will beautify your web page. So that's how they both are interlinked and connected together. And if you are wondering what are all these codes about, we will go through them in the upcoming slides. Okay, so don't worry about that. So we have two CSS files, media query.css, a file that makes your website look nice on different devices. You won't be editing that file in this workshop because that's diving even more deeper into web dev. But for this workshop, we want to keep it simple, basic, and introductory. Okay. And another file, we have style.css, a file that contains the main styling for your website. You will be editing this file. So this is the file that we will be editing today for beautifying your website. Okay, so the skeleton of an HTML page starts with something called tags. So HTML is the code that structures the web page, as I said. So we have different tags. It always starts, if you start the tag, you have to end that tag. So HTML tag is the first tag. That's when you say that, hey, you're writing HTML code. We start with HTML. And inside that, we have sub tags called the head tag and the body tag. So in the body is where your main content comes in, and head is basically the title of the window. So this title building for the web, this is a title. And similarly, index.html, the title comes on the top of the page. So this is for the title, and that's the heading part. And this is where the body content comes in. So most element consists of an opening tag, content, and a closing tag. That's what I just said. Important exceptions include link and image tags, which are called self-closing tags. So most of the tags will have an opening and closing tags, but tags like image and link don't need a closing tag. Okay. Every website needs this code below, as I mentioned before, and yeah, we went through all this. So now we can look at our index.html and glitch. So let's head over there. So we have the heading section where should be the name of my page. I'm pretty sure if I open it in the new URL, I should see Anarghya on top. Okay, so you see my name on top, and then the body is what we have here. So in our body, I have a h1 tag. So h1 tag is like a heading tag. So you can have different sizes of heading. You have h1, h2. So if I change it, so these are all the sizes. So different size of headings. That's how these are defined in HTML. So you can have h1, h2, h3, and so on. So that's another thing that you can do. But let's put it back to h1 and let's move on. So these meta tags contain, from line 5 to 6, the meta tags contain information about the page to be rendered. So the way the page will be rendered, that is controlled using the meta tag. You don't have to worry about that for this workshop. So we can move on. Okay, now we have something called link tags, which connects other HTML files. Our HTML files connected to two files in our project. We have style.css and the media query.css. So in order to add that style to your existing HTML skeleton, we use something called a link. So link is like a tag where you, so the type is style sheet, and we give the path to that file. So this is style.css, which is in our root directory of our project, and we link it that way. So, and the type is text.css. So this is how you can add more files to your, you can link files to your current HTML project. Okay. So let's move on. Now, link tag connects HTML to other files. Now we have other links too. We are using fonts from Google. So we have the fonts.googleapis.com, which allows us to add fonts. And we also have something called Bootstrap, which allows us to use an icon library called Font Awesome to add icons to our project. So this is that these are called CDNs, and these are very useful because you don't want to download everything in your project and keep it in your project. That just increases the size of your overall project. So you can just add these links, and using these links, you can access those icons or fonts, whatever you want to use to like make your website even better. Okay, so let's dive in, and all the content in the body is what you will be displayed on the page. So currently our body has a heading tag. This P tag is a paragraph. So we have let's build something together here, and we also have something called a div class, but it is, we'll get to that later. Okay, so that was a deep dive into index.html. Remember, HTML is the skeleton, and some text in our page is blue, and some text is bigger than other part. Now, styling these things is CSS job. So now we will look into what CSS is and see how we can like style and manipulate our existing HTML code. Okay, so do we have any questions till now? Gaurav, is everything okay? Okay, good. So if you have any questions at any point, let me know in the chat and we will get to that. So feel free to ask questions in the middle, like stop me if you think you have a question or you can't get something, okay? So we can use style.csh in glitch. So this is our style.css. Currently, we have some code here. I'll go through what each of this means, and we can dive deep into it now. Okay. So CSS, this is a CSS rule set. A selector specifies which elements to style. A property is a characteristic of an element, and a value is how the property should appear. Okay. So H1 is the selector, color is the property, blue is the value. So let's see what's happening here. So H1 so this tells CSS that all the H1 tags will have the color equal to this. So this is the color in hexadecimal. You can write color in normal plain blue as well, but you can either write it in English or write it in hex. It's up to you the way you want to write it. Okay. So this is what CSS does. So it will now, since this CSS is linked to your HTML page, it will render all H1 tags in the color, I think blue. I'll call it blue for now. Okay. So it will render our H1 tags with blue color on your web page. So this is what CSS does. Yeah, as I said, so this whole thing in total is called a rule set. Okay. So now that you understand the structure of the basic structures of HTML, add things and like start editing things in our thing. Okay. So change the let's build something cool together to a sentence or two about yourself. So in line 18 in index.html, we can just update it with a sentence about yourself. So I would say, hi, I'm a senior. I think I'm a senior at UB, majoring in CS and math, Okay, so just write something about yourself and then we can move on. Now we add another element that says about on line 21, and we can add a paragraph element at 25, add some information about yourself. Okay, so in here, okay, just give me a minute. Okay, we just did that, and at line 25, the body closes. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, now this tells us to write an about. So okay, so we have an about here. So I added an h2, a second heading element. So if you, so h1 is h1 has a bigger size than h2 and h3 and so on. So I added another heading which is smaller than my name, and I called it about, and then I have something about myself in this section. Okay. Now, so is everyone okay with what we did? We just added an h2 and we just added a paragraph, and we will add more stuff now. Okay, so let's move on because we don't have a lot of time. Now we have to add a project section. So this is how it should look like. Currently you have something about yourself. You okay, so this should go down, and we should add something else, something about, yeah. Okay, I think it, okay, it comes. Now we add more. Now we add something called unordered list and ordered list. So let's see what that is. So create another heading, say h2. Now we will add some projects. Now we are adding a list. So we will list out our projects. So in order to list out something, we use the UL tag. It's called unordered list. So if I add UL, and then each bullet point will be it will be a bullet. So I'll give li. I will give it, is it h3? Yep, I'll give it h3 and say bot. Okay, you can add multiple things like this. Website. So this is how an ordered list works. So if you want something bulleted on the website like this, you first start it with the UL tag. That means you will have a list of elements, and then you, for each bullet, you have to have an li tag, and within the li tag, you will have, you can style, you can, if you remove the h3 here, it will just come as a normal text. So it's up to you. So since you had h3 on it, that's why it bolded it and it added some weight to that text, but it's up to you. So this is the basics of how you can get a list on the website. So you can fill it up now, or you can like come back later and edit these, but for now I'm just making it as placeholders so that we can move on with the presentation. Okay, so within each li, you can also add a paragraph. So if I add a paragraph here, this is a paragraph, it will again come like this within the bullet, because this whole area is dedicated to that bullet point, and inside this area you're creating a subheading, and then you can have a paragraph right here. Okay, so these are some other things that you can add. Any questions regarding the unordered list? And similarly, if there's something called ordered list as well, so if you change it to OL instead of LI, you will have numbers 1, 2, 3 instead of bullet points. Okay. Cool. Let's move on. So add the project section. So make sure you have subheadings of each project, so and a description for each project if you want to do that. But for the sake of time, we will move on to this. And it's time for our code review. We learned about unordered list. We learned about the list element section. So make sure before using this li stuff, you have a ul or ol, because if you don't have this part, this will just go on the other side. But you should have this section so that it's properly indented and it just looks better this way. Okay. Any questions till now? No questions? Good. Okay. So elements can be nested, as I showed you before. So inside the unordered list, you can have a bullet point. In order to have bullet points, you can have LIs and stuff like that. Okay. So now let's add an image to your website. So adding an image can, I think there is an image in your assets folder. No, it's not. Okay. So click on so add an image of yourself into the assets folder in Glitch. You can drag and drop the image here and then click copy URL. Okay. So let's upload an asset. I wasn't ready for this, but let me, okay. So I have my picture here, and after this we can copy the URL like this. So click on a picture, copy the URL, and let's head back to index.html and then look at where we have to place the image. So just above the projects section, you can paste your image but using the image tag. So this is our project section. We can add an image tag here, give it source, and this should do it. It is a big picture, but we can, okay. So the image is here, but since the picture is, it's a lot, like the size is a lot, that's why it's coming here, but we can fix that. We can add height and width to this picture so that we can tell it to just take that specific size, not take the whole page or the whole size of the image. Okay. So if it does not look like, so it says if your image is huge, we'll fix that later. So don't worry if your image that you just uploaded looks the same, like if it's big, don't worry right now, we will fix it later. Okay. So this should be the code review. As I said, image element contains our image. It is a self-closing tag. That means you don't need to close the image. As we talked about it earlier, there are some self-closing tags that don't need an ending tag. Image is one of them. Okay. Moving on. Add a contact section. So now we will add icons. We'll add various icons like GitHub, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and your email icon at the bottom of the page, and we'll see how we will do that. Okay. So remember, we are using the Font Awesome API, Font Awesome CDN. So make sure you have this part in your index.html file. Otherwise, these icons won't load and it won't show up on your website. Okay, so let's go to index.html, and below the closing UL tag, add a footer element. Inside the footer element, we can add an anchor tag. So anchor tags are used for hyperlinks. So you can add links to that anchor tag, and it will be clickable, and you'll be able to click the link and go to the page which it links. And inside the A element, we'll add an I tag. Okay, so let's do that. Add a footer. Add an anchor, add an I. Okay, we're nesting everything inside. So the footer is our broader tag, and inside the footer we have an anchor tag, and then we have an I tag. Okay. So now we can link our socials here. So I'll just do one of it. So let's do LinkedIn. So href, I think it should be here. Oh, sorry, my bad. LinkedIn. So that's my LinkedIn. Let's copy this and paste it here. So my LinkedIn is there, and so the main difference between target, if you add this line, target equals blank, it will open it in a new page, new tab, rather than opening in if you have this right now, if you don't have the target part, it will just open that link in the current tab. But if you add the target equal to blank, it will open it in a new tab for you. Okay, so now once you have that, you can now add an I. So in the I, you can have a class name, and in the class name, you just write this. So this is the class for Font Awesome's LinkedIn icon. So we can add FA LinkedIn, and then FA3X. And then we can also add area hidden equals. Okay. So now let's look at the live version, see if it popped up. There we go. We can see our LinkedIn, and if we click on this icon, it will take us to your LinkedIn page. So make sure you have your link set up correctly. This should work right now. Let me know if it doesn't work for people, but make sure you nest it properly and have everything properly in the proper places. Okay. So let's move on. For the code review, we have A as the anchor element, I is an element with several users. In this case, we can use to add icons to our website. href is the attribute that contains the URL for the anchor tag, and target is the attribute so that you can open links in a new tab. Class is an attribute. This is used to group elements. When writing CSS, you can specify classes to style the elements, all elements of that class. And area hidden, I don't know how to pronounce it, but you can pronounce it whatever you want, an attribute that tells the screen reader to ignore that element. Okay. So let's move on. Now to add text elements, we can make them bold, or we can make them italic. So we can use two elements, em and strong. So em will, so let's modify this a bit. If we go to the description of our project, so this is a sample description of my project. So if I add strong here, and if I move project under the strong brackets, so let's see. Okay, so this makes it bold, and if you want italics, you can have em. It works the same. So you just need to list the text inside those. So now it became italics, and it became bold. Okay, so these are the things that you can do. So HTML, everything works on the tags in HTML. So if you want something to look different, or if you want to like make something bold, make sure you put it in appropriate tags, and that's how the page will render itself based on those tags. Because under these li tags, the text will appear appear as bullet points. Under the paragraph tags, the text will look as a paragraph, and under the heading tags, the text will render as like a heading. Okay, so it's all about tags in HTML. So make sure you use correct tags for the correct things that you need. Okay. Okay, so we added strong. We added so that was fine. Now it's time to style our website. So currently, this is how our website looks like currently. It's just a skeleton. We have no styling. We have bare styling. Like we colored our names here. That's the only thing that we have right now. But this is the part where we add more styling to our page so that we can make this page even beautiful and remove this obnoxiously big size image and like make it smaller so that it fits and it looks well. It looks like well built. Okay, so let's dive into the CSS file. As I explained before, the body is the CSS selector, and the code from line 1 to 4 can be applied to the entire body. So when you say body, it applies to the whole body tag. So this whole tag is the body tag. So if you apply a style to body, that style will apply to everything inside the body. That's what that line means. So we are currently using the font family Open Sans, and we have some backup fonts as well. So we list a lot of fonts because this code says use Open Sans for all text in the body. And if the browser doesn't know what Open Sans means, then we can use these following font family, which we have described after Open Sans. Okay, so these are just backups if the browser doesn't know what you're talking about. Okay, so next we have something called margin. So it means how much space should be around elements. This means we put a margin to 3% around all sides of the body. So percent is one way of specifying the size of the elements. We'll learn about this in like the next slides. So we'll see what margin means, and we'll see padding and all sorts of stuff. Okay, so this is fine. We talked about color before, so you should know that. Okay, so this is important while using CSS. There are many different CSS sizing units. These are the ones that we have used in the project. We have pixels, absolute sizing of elements. We have viewport width units, VW, relative sizing of elements. We have percentages, relative sizing of elements again, and we have viewport height units. So these are some various different size units that you can use in a CSS file to tell the page how do you want to size the different elements in that page or in that block that you're applying the CSS to. Okay, so let's add some colors now. Let's open the style.css and give our color to our h2 tags. So if we type h2, so this we are telling the CSS to now apply some color. I haven't added the color, but now what we will do is we are telling the CSS to apply something that will be described in the brackets to all the h2 elements. Okay, so if we, yeah.
Anarghya, there's a question.
Mm-hmm.
So you can choose to use any of those elements, personal reference, question mark.
Any of the what elements? Yeah, you can use any of the elements here. Yeah. So if you don't have to put h2, if you have like a paragraph element, you can just do that as well. So instead of h2, if you put p, your color will be applied to that paragraph element. But for now, we are adding it to the h2 element and just, let's say, orange. Okay. So now our h2 element became orange. So another thing that CSS does is, suppose if I put color equals orange here, okay? The whole thing turns orange, but if I do color equals red here. So CSS works on top to bottom like this. And
so there's a question again, like he was asking for the percentages or pixels, etc., like for the elements and person preference.
Oh, okay. So for the, can you repeat that question?
So if you can choose to use any of those elements or personal preference with percentages or pixels.
Uh, oh, so you can add percentages to, so if you type, if you add margin to it, you will be adding percentages when it comes to like positioning an image on the page or adding margins to a page. That's when you would be adding percentages to an image or to any tag. And you can do it to any tag possible. So you can do it to H1, you can do it to H2, you can add margin, you can add relative position. So you can do it to any tag. Yeah, that's not a limit if that's what you were asking. But the thing that I was trying to show you that HTML the CSS file works on, so this body element tells the this body element gives the orange color to everything in the body. But since we added H2 further down the page, we updated that orange color. So since this project was still in the body, but H2 is further it's further down the page, we added the red color to the project and it updated it that way. Okay, so CSS works on like top to down. It goes through every line and starts updating the colors like that. So if you update some color which you already had given on top, it will update it in the bottom and reflect that change. Okay, so just something that you should know about CSS.
There's a other question. How can you change the background color of the page?
Okay, so background color of the
Also,
page will be in body. So if you do background, yep, so the background is orange now. So under body, if you type background, the background color will be changed to orange. Okay. So let's just go over this quickly. We still have like a few more slides to go and we don't have a lot of time. So let me just go over this quickly. So we added colors and we added color to the tag selector. That was fine. And now we have to position. Now comes the positioning elements. So let's add some sections to our index.html now. So we are going to add section element, add the opening section tag above h2, which says about, and add the closing tag right before the footer. So we add it above h2. So we are now sectioning things. So here we can start sectioning, and we are ending the section right above our footer. Okay, so this we are now this will help us when we are adding the style to the page, and this will help us stylize this page better, and we have our own sections so that we can section each style each section properly. So now give opening section tags to the class attribute with the value main. Okay, so now we are adding the class attribute and we are calling it main. So we can distinguish separate tags using a class and we can call it main. So if you want, so suppose you have multiple h1s in a page. So you have heading 1 here, suppose you have another heading 1 somewhere else. So if you want to give a different color to heading 1 on top, and if you want to give a different color to heading 1 on the bottom somewhere, you can add class or ID to those elements, give them an ID, give them a class. That's how you can distinguish between same tags. But if you want to give them different colors or different style, that's how you can distinguish between them. That's another thing. Okay, so now we can add div elements, put one around about section and one around project section. So div are for the elements so that you can break down your thing. So under projects, so the two things that we have to do is put it around the about section and put it around the project section. So we can add a div here, move this up. we can add a div here and end it here. Okay, you won't see any changes in your page, but this we'll talk about this later. So let me just quickly go forward. Okay, now in the style.css section, we can, so these styles are applied to all elements that have the logo class. Class selectors are more specific than tag selectors so that they can override tag selectors. So see if they give the logo class name. Okay. So one second. Okay. So if you give the class name to your image tag, so if I say class, okay. Now we can give we can style that using the class names as well. So if you do logo, this means you are giving the style to that particular class name. So in this page, only this element, the style will be added to this element and only this element itself. But if you said image, so if there were multiple images on in your page, this style would be applied to all those images. But that's not always the best practice. If you want some particular styles to a particular image, it's based on your use case. So currently we just have one image and we can specify that image. So we're just giving it logo. We can give it a width.
Just a heads up, Anarghya, we have 10 minutes left. Yeah.
So since I gave a width, it shrunk itself to match that width that I gave. And now our obnoxiously large picture became like a small, good, well-defined picture. And we can also give it like a with the width. Okay, so let's move on. So we can now add some structures in .main. Let's see, we can add display effects. So if I say main, display effects, we can have justified content. And we can have a height of 70 VH. Oh, okay. So this looks bad. Let's see what we did here. So this was the main section. Let me see. Let's go here. Okay, this looks equally bad. Let's see the styles again. Okay, so since we did the display flex, it will let's remove these from now. Okay, so the main thing about display, there's a different types of display that you can order those elements in. Right now, I don't think we have enough time to dive deep into this, but you can look into the slides and there's additional resources as well for this. But there's various types of displays which tells you how the elements in the thing should be aligned. Currently, the default alignment is like top to bottom. So all the elements will start from top to bottom like this. But if you change the display to flex or something else, there's a lot of types of displays for CSS. You can align it in a row or you can align it in a column and things like that. But since we are short of time, we will just like skip over it. And so maybe you can go over it on your own after this presentation. Okay. So this is the display property that determines how an element should take up space in the page. As I said, justify tells the browser how much space you need. And flex is one possible value for the display property. Usually each element is displayed on its own line. When using flex, each element squeezes next to one and before it. Okay. And similarly, a space around value is for justify content property that puts equal space around elements. So that's what we did. We added a height property, and we added 70 VH, which means the view height. So 70 view height means 70% of how tall user's browser is. So this will be useful if you want your web page to be responsive, so that even if this picture is appears bigger than this because this space was small. If I start increasing this page, the picture will look bigger because it is based on the current size of your display or the browser that you're looking the web page on. Okay, so now I think we don't have a lot of time to cover the rest of the part, but you can try it on your own. This is where you can make things on your own. You can play around. So the next challenge would be to your final website should look like this. So your project section should be on the right. So you can section off your projects into a different part, like in a div, like we already did. So we added a div around the project section, but we can even name the div class as projects here. And then you can apply specific style to that part, or you can apply styles to the whole class section. So it's up to you. You can achieve this in various ways, but I would encourage you to like explore and try it on your own, because CSS is like a huge thing. You can add a lot of things, and there's a lot of resources that you can use on the web. It's available. It's free to learn CSS and explore more things that we didn't cover today during this presentation, but you can always explore and look around and just create those things. So let's see what we can cover now. We just have around 5 minutes. So let's see. Does anyone have any other questions right now? Because I don't think we have enough time, but yeah, let me know if people have any questions. But I hope you learned something today. So just as a brief recap, in the 4 minutes that we have right now, I'll just go over the things that we did today. We added a new section. We added some tags. We learned about what tags are and how do you use tags. Like there's some self-closing tags, but most tags need to be closed. And then HTML file, it's just basically a structure. So currently this is just a skeleton. So if you think of your web page as like a human body, HTML is just the skeleton, but the style .css, that this file actually shapes your skeleton. Like that's actually the skin and everything around those skeletons. So you can style your HTML elements based on tags, on class names, and special IDs. You can give IDs as well. So if you give a particular style to one of the tags, it will apply to all the tags in the page. So every time you type H1 in that page, all the H1 will have this blue color, or every time you add an H2 to the page, all the H2s will have red color. So as you can see, about will have red color, projects will have red color. But if I want to change about's color from red, just about's color, to like green or something like that, then I'll have to give about a specific class name or an ID and then change it that way. So these are the few things that we learned today. And then CSS is just about applying styles and just to make it more prettier than what you can with HTML. Okay. So the two things: practice, keep learning, just add fonts, check fonts.google.com, see what fonts are there, see what you like, and you can add more fonts from there. And you can create a custom domain. So I know we are giving out free domains from, you can check out the MLH website and you can see what domains are available, which you can get it for free, and then you can host it, your project that you built today, and then you can demo it tomorrow. And I hope you have a wonderful time at UV Hacking. I will be on Discord available if you have any questions. I will be willing to help you, and let me know. Uh, uh, I think you all should have the workshop slides because it was on Discord. So if you have any other questions, let me know. But that was the time for us today. But I hope best of luck with all the projects that you're building, and I would love to see some amazing projects tomorrow.
Thanks, Anarghya, for this wonderful workshop, and we'll take over to